Have you ever felt the weight of history, not just as a distant echo in textbooks, but as a tangible presence in your life? Imagine a landscape where the sun beats down on unforgiving terrain, where the wind whispers secrets of forgotten conflicts, and where the past refuses to stay buried. This is the world of Jack Dalton, a man haunted by shadows, and Tashunk, a young boy carrying the burden of his ancestors' suffering. Their unlikely encounter on the desolate plains of the American West sets the stage for a story that delves deep into the human heart, exploring themes of guilt, redemption, and the enduring power of forgiveness. We often think of history as a collection of dates and events, neatly packaged and presented. But what happens when history becomes personal, when the consequences of past actions reverberate through generations? What if the mistakes of those who came before you cast a long shadow over your present, shaping your relationships and dictating your destiny? This is the central question that underpins the narrative we are about to explore. It's a story that transcends the confines of a specific time and place, resonating with the universal human experience of grappling with our past and seeking to build a better future. Jack Dalton, a man weathered by hardship and solitude, has built a life around isolation. He's a man who has chosen to live apart from the world, seeking refuge in the vastness of the American West. His existence is a testament to the scars left by a tragic past, a past he desperately tries to outrun. Then, into his carefully constructed The World, comes Tashunk, a young Apache boy, lost and vulnerable, seeking shelter from the harsh realities of a world that has already caused him immense pain. Their meeting is a collision of worlds, a clash of cultures, and a test of the human capacity for empathy and understanding. This isn't just a story about the clash between settlers and Native Americans. It is a story of how the echoes of the past can either destroy us or, paradoxically, lead us to a path of healing and reconciliation. It's a story about the secrets we keep, the burdens we carry, and the courage it takes to confront the truth, even when that truth is painful. As we delve into the narrative, we'll examine the complex relationship that develops between Jack and Tashunk. We will witness their struggles to overcome deeply ingrained biases, to heal from the wounds of history, and to forge a connection that transcends the boundaries of race and culture. Prepare to journey with them through the unforgiving landscapes of the American West as they confront their shared past and seek a path toward redemption. Building on the initial setup, let's now delve into the historical tapestry that provides the backdrop for Jack and Tashunk's fateful encounter. The American West, often romanticized in literature and film, was a crucible of conflict, a place where dreams of manifest destiny clashed violently with the enduring presence of indigenous cultures. The period we are exploring, roughly the late 19th century, was characterized by a relentless westward expansion, fueled by a belief in the inherent right of white settlers to claim and cultivate the land. This relentless pursuit, however, came at a devastating cost. The Apache, like many other Native American tribes, were caught in the crosshairs of this expansion. Their ancestral lands, their way of life, and their very existence were threatened by the influx of settlers, the encroachment of the U.S. military, and the systematic dismantling of their cultural and social structures. Furthermore, treaties were broken, promises betrayed, and acts of violence, both large and small, became commonplace. Consider the complexities of this period. The narrative of westward expansion is often presented as a story of progress and civilization. However, this narrative often obscures the brutal realities experienced by the indigenous populations. The Apache, known for their fierce independence and resistance, faced a particularly difficult struggle. Their survival depended on their ability to adapt, to defend their territory, and to maintain their cultural identity in the face of overwhelming odds. Another crucial layer is the role of individual actors within this broader historical context. Jack Dalton, the lonely rancher, represents one such individual. He is a product of his time, shaped by the prevailing attitudes and prejudices of his community. But he is also a man capable of introspection and moral reckoning. His internal conflict, the weight of his past actions, and the potential for redemption form the central tension of the story. Conversely, Tashunk embodies the resilience of the Apache people. He is a survivor, forced to confront the trauma of loss and displacement. His interaction with Jack becomes a microcosm of the larger historical struggle, a test of whether reconciliation is possible in the face of such profound historical wounds. Consequently, understanding the historical context is crucial to appreciating the depth of their relationship. The story is not just about two individuals, it is about the legacy of conflict, the enduring power of cultural identity, and the possibility of healing in the face of unimaginable adversity. Now, consider how this applies when you face difficult situations in your own life, how your past influences your present, and how you can strive to build meaningful connections across the divides that separate us. Let's now dissect the concept of the human capacity for empathy, a core element driving the narrative and the unlikely bond between Jack and Tashunk. Empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of another, transcends mere sympathy. It necessitates a deep, almost visceral comprehension of another's lived experience. It's the capacity to step outside of one's own perspective and inhabit, even momentarily, the world of another. Furthermore, empathy isn't a passive trait. It demands active listening, a willingness to suspend judgment, and a genuine desire to connect with another human being. Consider Jack's journey. Initially, entrenched in his solitary existence, he is likely hardened by the trials of his past. Yet upon encountering Tashunk, he is faced with a situation which compels him to exercise this dormant faculty. Consequently, the very act of offering shelter to the lost boy, of providing sustenance and security, becomes an act of empathy. It is a recognition of Tashunk's vulnerability, a silent acknowledgement of his suffering. This initial act, however, is merely the first step. Building on this, the development of empathy between Jack and Tashunk is a slow, arduous process. Conversely, the boy's perspective is equally significant. He arrives at Jack's ranch with a well-founded distrust. His history, the stories, passed down through generations, paint a picture of the white man as an enemy, a destroyer of his people. For Tashunk to extend any degree of trust to Jack, he must overcome deeply ingrained biases, a feat demanding immense courage and resilience. Another crucial layer is the role of trauma in shaping both characters. Jack carries the weight of his own past actions, a burden that has driven him to isolation. Tashunk, on the other hand, bears the scars of collective trauma, the legacy of violence inflicted upon his people. This shared experience of suffering, although originating from vastly different circumstances, forms a subtle undercurrent that connects the two. Now, consider how this applies when you face difficult situations in your own life. Think about the times you've encountered individuals whose experiences differ drastically from your own. Can you truly comprehend their perspective? Can you set aside your own biases and assumptions to see the world through their eyes? The narrative challenges us to confront our own limitations, to cultivate empathy, and to recognize the shared humanity that binds us all, regardless of our backgrounds or past experiences. Let's now turn our focus to the concept of guilt and its corrosive effects, particularly as it manifests within Jack Dalton. The narrative offers a compelling examination of how the weight of past deeds, especially those tinged with complicity, can shape a person's entire existence. It's not merely the act of committing a wrong, but the subsequent internalization of that wrong that truly defines the individual's struggle. Furthermore, the story showcases how guilt can be a potent force, driving a person towards isolation and self-punishment. Jack's reclusive lifestyle, his deliberate separation from society, could be interpreted as a form of penance. He seeks refuge in the vast emptiness of the American West, perhaps hoping to find solace from the ghosts of his past and the solitude. This isolation, however, is a double-edged sword. While it may offer a temporary reprieve from the judgment of others, it also denies him the opportunity for genuine connection and redemption. Building on this, however, the story offers a more nuanced perspective on guilt. It reveals that guilt, while destructive, can also be a catalyst for change. The encounter with Tashunk forces Jack to confront his past head-on. He can no longer hide from the consequences of his actions. This confrontation, though painful, becomes the first step towards a potential path of redemption. His willingness to help the boy to protect him from harm could be seen as an attempt to atone for the sins of his past. Consequently, the narrative presents a complex interplay between guilt, responsibility, and the possibility of forgiveness. Jack is not simply a villain. He is a flawed human being, grappling with the moral complexities of his past. His internal conflict, his struggle to reconcile his actions with his conscience, is the heart of the story. It's a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit, its capacity for both great cruelty and profound compassion. Conversely, the story contrasts Jack's internal struggle with the external forces that threaten to unravel his fragile peace. The arrival of the settlers, bearing their own grievances and prejudices, reawakens the old wounds. Their demands for retribution, their accusations of past wrongdoings, put Jack and Tashunk in a precarious position. This external pressure forces Jack to confront his guilt in the face of immediate danger. Another crucial layer is the notion of collective guilt. Jack is not solely responsible for the atrocities committed against the Apache, yet he carries the weight of his community's actions. This highlights the complex nature of historical responsibility and the ways in which individuals can be implicated in events far beyond their direct involvement. Now, consider how this applies when you face situations where you feel a sense of moral obligation, even if you weren't directly involved. How can you grapple with the weight of shared history and the responsibility to create a better future? Let's pivot to explore the intricate dynamics of cultural understanding and the inherent challenges involved in bridging vast divides, specifically as it pertains to Jack and Tashunk. The story offers a compelling lens through which to examine the complexities that arise when disparate cultures collide, where deeply entrenched beliefs, historical grievances, and fundamental differences in worldview create significant barriers to genuine connection. The narrative doesn't shy away from portraying the inherent difficulties in achieving mutual understanding, highlighting the potential for misinterpretations, misunderstandings, and the perpetuation of stereotypes. Moreover, the narrative underscores the importance of active listening and a willingness to learn from one another. Jack, initially, operates within the confines of his own cultural framework, shaped by the dominant narrative of his time. He has to actively challenge his preconceived notions and to open himself up to a different perspective, to truly hear and comprehend Tashunk's experiences. Conversely, Tashunk too must navigate the complexities of intercultural communication. Building upon this, however, the story suggests that true understanding necessitates a degree of vulnerability and openness. Both Jack and Tashunk must be willing to shed their defenses, to share their personal stories, and to engage in honest, often difficult conversations. For Jack, this requires confronting his own complicity in the historical injustices inflicted upon the Apache. For Tashunk, this involves trusting a man who, by his very existence, represents the forces that have caused his people so much suffering. Consequently, the landscape of the American West functions as a crucible, a space where these cultural interactions are tested. The harsh realities of survival, the ever-present threat of violence, and the isolation of their surroundings force Jack and Tashunk to rely on each other. This shared experience, although born of difficult circumstances, creates an environment in which cultural barriers can begin to break down. The narrative suggests that genuine understanding can emerge from shared hardship and the necessity of cooperation. Conversely, the arrival of the settlers presents a stark contrast to the gradual process of understanding that develops between Jack and Tashunk. The settlers, fueled by prejudice and a desire for retribution, embody the forces that seek to widen the cultural divide. Their unwillingness to listen, their insistence on their own version of events, and their disregard for the Apache's perspective. They serve as a potent reminder of the challenges inherent in intercultural communication. Another crucial layer is the role of language in communication. The narrative likely highlights the difficulties of communicating across linguistic and cultural boundaries. This could be expressed through limited shared vocabulary, misunderstandings arising from different cultural norms, and the inherent limitations of translation. Now, consider how this applies when you find yourself in situations where cultural differences are prominent. How can you approach conversations with empathy and a willingness to learn? Let's now turn our attention to the theme of legacy, the enduring impact of actions and decisions, specifically how they resonate through time and across generations in the narrative. The story, at its core, is not merely a tale of individual struggle, but a deep exploration of the ripple effects of the past, demonstrating how the choices of one generation can profoundly shape the lives of those that follow. It's a reflection on the inheritance of trauma, the burden of history, and the responsibility we all share in shaping a more just and equitable future. Furthermore, the concept of legacy extends beyond mere inheritance. It encompasses the stories we tell, the values we uphold, and the memories we choose to preserve. The Apache boy Tashunk carries the legacy of his ancestors, the traditions, the memories, and the struggles that have defined his people. His very existence is a testament to their resilience. He embodies the continuation of a cultural narrative that has survived against all odds. Building on this, consider the legacy that Jack Dalton inadvertently inherits. He becomes entwined with the history of his people, a history marked by conflict and displacement. His actions, or rather, his inaction in the past, contribute to the legacy of injustice. This legacy, in turn, casts a shadow over his present, shaping his relationships, his sense of self, and his potential for redemption. The choices he makes now will either perpetuate this negative inheritance or offer a path toward healing. Consequently, the narrative posits that legacy is not a static entity but a dynamic force, constantly being reshaped by the actions of each generation. The choices Jack and Tashunk make will have a lasting impact, not only on their own lives, but on the future of their relationship and the possibility of reconciliation. Their story becomes a microcosm of the larger historical struggle, a reminder that the past is never truly past. Conversely, the arrival of the settlers highlights the dangers of a legacy built on hatred and division. Their desire for retribution, their unwavering adherence to their own version of events, threatens to perpetuate the cycle of violence. They embody the legacy of conflict, the unwillingness to learn from the past, and the persistence of prejudice. Their actions underscore the crucial need for individuals to actively confront the negative aspects of their legacies. Another crucial layer is the concept of intergenerational trauma. The story likely explores how the trauma experienced by the Apache people has been passed down through generations, manifesting in various forms of psychological distress. This underscores the lasting impact of historical injustices and the challenges of healing from such deep wounds. Now consider how this applies when you examine your own family history and your community. What legacies are being passed down? How can you contribute to a more positive inheritance? Delving further into the implications of the narrative, let's consider the transformative power of solitude and how it shapes the protagonist's journeys. Jack Dalton, shrouded in the cloak of isolation, initially uses it as a shield, a means of evading the world and the memories that haunt him. He constructs a life of deliberate detachment, finding solace in the vast and different landscape of the American West. This existence, however, is a double-edged sword. Furthermore, this deliberate withdrawal provides a space for introspection, a chance to confront the demons that have driven him to such extremes. The absence of external pressures allows him to grapple with his past, to wrestle with the moral complexities of his actions, and to contemplate the possibility of change. The quietude of his existence, however, also fosters a dangerous stagnation, an inability to fully embrace the potential for redemption. Building on this, the arrival of Tashunk shatters this carefully constructed world, forcing Jack to confront the limitations of his solitude. The boy's presence disrupts the routine, the silence, and the sense of control Jack has so painstakingly cultivated. This disruption, however, becomes a catalyst for growth. The need to care for another human being to protect him from harm forces Jack to step outside of himself, to engage with the world in a new and meaningful way. Consequently, the narrative suggests that solitude, while offering a temporary refuge, can also be a prison. It can prevent individuals from fully experiencing the richness of human connection and from confronting the challenges necessary for personal growth. Jack's journey underscores the importance of finding a balance between solitude and connection, between introspection and engagement with the world. Conversely, Tashunk's journey underscores the resilience that can be forged. In the crucible of adversity, he is forced into a state of isolation, separated from his family and his community, and thrust into a hostile environment. He carries the scars of his experiences, the weight of his past, and the burden of his heritage. His survival hinges on his ability to adapt, to find strength in his own resilience, and to navigate the complexities of his new reality. Another crucial layer is the role of the landscape itself. The vast, unforgiving terrain of the American West becomes a character in its own right, shaping the lives of Jack and Tashunk. The harshness of the environment tests their resilience, forces them to rely on each other, and provides a backdrop for their shared journey. The very air they breathe is laden with a history of conflict, the whispers of forgotten struggles, and the promise of a fragile peace. Now, consider how this applies when you seek time to think. How can you use that time constructively so it leads to personal growth and connection, not just detachment? Let's now shift our focus to the concept of memory and how the past is not merely a historical event, but a living presence, shaping the character's realities. The narrative undoubtedly delves into the fragmented nature of memory, the way recollections can be both vivid and unreliable, subject to distortion by time, emotion, and the selective nature of the human mind. It's a crucial aspect of the story. Furthermore, consider how memory serves as a battleground. For Jack, his memories of the past are a source of profound pain, a constant reminder of his complicity in the injustices inflicted upon the Apache. He might try to suppress these recollections, to bury them deep within his consciousness, but they resurface, haunting his dreams and fueling his isolation. This struggle to manage one's past is a very human trait. Building on this, think about how Tashunk, on the other hand, carries the weight of his family's and his people's memories. His recollections of the raid, the loss of his kin, are likely to be raw and visceral. These memories are not just historical facts. They are the source of his grief, his rage, and his determination to survive. For him, remembering is an act of both mourning and resistance. Consequently, the narrative underscores the importance of confronting the past, even when the memories are painful. The act of remembering, of acknowledging the injustices of the past, is a necessary step towards healing and reconciliation. The story likely presents a nuanced view of memory, recognizing its potential for both destruction and renewal. The characters' journeys involve navigating the treacherous terrain of their own recollections, learning to live with the ghosts that haunt them. Conversely, consider the role of storytelling in shaping and preserving memory. Perhaps the narrative explores how oral traditions, the passing down of stories from one generation to the next, are vital for the survival of the Apache culture. For Tashunk, the stories of his ancestors are not just historical accounts, they are a source of identity, a way of connecting with his heritage, and a testament to the resilience of his people. These stories would likely be a powerful force. Another crucial layer is the concept of collective memory. The story probably explores how the memories of a community, its shared experiences, and its historical traumas, shape its identity and its relationship with the world. The narrative might delve into the ways in which historical events are remembered and commemorated, and the role of memory in shaping cultural identity. Now, consider how this applies when you think about your family's history or your community's past. What stories are told, and how do they shape your understanding of the world? Reflecting on this journey so far, we've navigated a landscape sculpted by the harsh realities of the American West, where the echoes of the past reverberate. With undeniable force, we've witnessed the slow, deliberate unraveling of a man's carefully constructed solitude, a life built on the foundations of both grief and a yearning for something more. We've observed the tentative blossoming of a bond, forged in the crucible of shared hardship and mutual need, a testament to the human capacity for empathy and understanding. Now, consider how these threads intertwine to create a complex tapestry of human experience. The story functions as a mirror, reflecting the intricate dance between individual agency and historical forces. Like a river carving its path through stone, the narrative illustrates how the relentless currents of history shape the lives of those caught in its flow. In light of these insights, the path forward becomes clearer. We've traced the contours of guilt, not merely as a burden to be borne, but as a potential catalyst for transformation. We've examined the subtle, yet powerful, ways in which cultural differences can both divide and unite, depending on the choices we make. The landscape of memory, with its shifting sands and hidden depths, has emerged as a crucial element, a place where the past refuses to remain buried. Drawing these strands together, we see a narrative that transcends the specific setting of the American West. Like a seed carried by the wind, the themes of redemption, reconciliation, and the enduring power of the human spirit have taken root. In our collective imagination, the story becomes a microcosm of the larger human experience, a reminder that we are all, in some way, shaped by the legacies we inherit. As we pivot towards the final reflection, we are left to consider how these elements coalesce to create a singular, unforgettable experience. As the dust settles on the plains, and the final echoes of the past fade into the twilight, we are left to contemplate the enduring power of connection, the profound impact of choice, and the possibility of healing in the face of unimaginable adversity. The story of Jack and Tashunk, a narrative born from the harsh realities of the American West, transcends the limitations of time and place, offering a timeless exploration of the human condition. It is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, its capacity for both profound cruelty and extraordinary compassion. The true essence of the narrative lies not merely in the recounting of historical events, but in the subtle, yet potent, interplay of individual agency and the forces of history. We witness the transformation of Jack, a man burdened by the weight of his past, as he slowly learns to confront his demons and to embrace the potential for redemption. We observe the courage of Tashunk, a young boy whose life has been marked by loss and displacement, as he navigates the complexities of a world that has often been unkind. The narrative, however, does not shy away from the inherent challenges of bridging cultural divides. It acknowledges the enduring impact of historical grievances and the difficulties of achieving genuine understanding across the boundaries of race and culture. The story serves as a powerful reminder that true reconciliation requires not only empathy, but also a willingness to confront the uncomfortable truths of the past. It demands a commitment to active listening, a willingness to challenge our own preconceived notions, and a genuine desire to connect with the experiences of others. The echoes of this story will continue to resonate long after the final page has been turned. It encourages us to reflect on our own responsibilities, both individually and collectively, in shaping the legacies we leave behind. The tale challenges us to examine our own biases, to cultivate empathy, and to recognize the shared humanity that binds us all. It reminds us that the past is not merely a collection of dates and events, but a living presence that continues to shape our present and inform our future. The true practice begins now, in our everyday lives, as we strive to build bridges of understanding, to heal the wounds of history, and to create a world where compassion and justice